Hello and welcome. I'm Melody, an AI-powered voice from Wondercraft. You are listening to the podcast channel of Voice of Migration, Future Communicators, an Erasmus Plus project. This project is supported by the European Union through the Erasmus Plus program, bringing together partners from Turkey, Austria, Spain, Italy, Greece, and Bulgaria. This is our second episode, and joining us today is Mr. Metin Çorabatır, a journalist recognized for his work as a diplomatic correspondent in Turkey and his long-standing contribution as the spokesperson for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Turkey. Mr. Çorabatır, welcome. For our listeners, let's start by getting to know you a little better. Could you tell us about yourself and your background in this field?
My name is Metin Çorabatır. I am the president of IGAM. IGAM is the research center on Asylum and Migration, established in 2016. I'm the president, and it is for the protection of refugees. When we talk about protection, we mean mainly creating a good atmosphere for the refugees, good protection environment for the refugees. In Turkey, there is a misunderstanding on the concept of refugees. So most of our work is heavily on communication and to try to make Turkish public better understanding of refugee issue, why they are here, why they are refugees. What is the difference between refugees and other types of migrants? So, since the beginning, we have been focusing on these issues. I used to be a journalist before I joined the UNHCR in 1995. I was a spokesperson of UNHCR. And after I died, I continued the media relations in IGAM.
That's a fascinating and extensive background. Let's start with our first question. From a broader perspective, how do you think migration is generally represented in the media today?
The representation of migration is a problematic issue. Actually, the Turkish public doesn't understand between different types of migration. Most of them are voluntary migration and the forced migration, which is, if it has an international aspect, what we call refugees. But these differences is not well understood in Turkish public, including those academics and many intellectual people. So they mix up migration, for example, economic migration because of the studies, university studies, health, and they mix up with refugees. So in the past, we experienced that a lot of discourse was about return of refugees back to their countries where the regime was still in power, which forced them to be refugees, to force them to leave their homes and countries. So the representation is problematic, first of all, because of this misunderstanding or lack of understanding of the term of refugees. Secondly, as a corollary to this, a lot of negative aspects were widely shared in the public. Sometimes because of the political benefits, sometimes for lack of knowledge, misinformation, disinformation. It was presented as migrants bringing to invade Turkey. Their rate of population growth is higher than Turkish population growth. So in the future, they make some projections that Turkey will be Arabized, they will be in majority, and they would never return. So, and sometimes, especially for Afghans, it was used that they came only young men came, group of men came with their weapons in hand to establish a Taliban type of regime in Turkey. All these presentations creating some fear in the public.
Thank you for your detailed answer. In your opinion, what role and responsibility does the media have when it comes to reporting on refugees and migration?
Media is a very important tool for refugee protection because, as I said, there are a lot of lack of information, disinformation, misinformation, and these things were based to create fear and negative antipathic attitudes towards refugees. So media is the main tool to tell the public the truth. Who are they? Why they are here? Why they cannot turn back to their home as long as the conditions are not proper. So media is very important, not only in Turkey, in all of the world. And unfortunately, some media use this for their own profit and interest, use negative aspects to sell more papers. Of course, we are talking about not only the traditional media, but also the social media during the last couple of years or decades. It became more important, and there is no control mechanism on social media. So they create a lot of lies, a lot of untrue things to show negative things, to present negative aspects of refugees. So media is responsible for creating a better understanding of refugees.
That's a powerful point. So, how can young communicators contribute to more ethical, inclusive, and accurate storytelling about migration?
Before I joined to UNHCR as a spokesperson in 1995, I, for 18 years, meet person as a journalist, first in print media and televisions. I was assigned at that time to cover different refugee issues in different corners of the world. And I was sent there without knowing anything for refugees. Now, retrospectively, if I would look at back, I would prefer to be there to cover the same stories with my today's knowledge. So, in answering your question, for young journalists, young people in the communication field, they should know better about the essence of the thing. International refugee law, the descriptions of that, the constraint on the state in their treatment to the refugees, possibility of return, forced return, voluntary repatriation. All these concepts should be read aware by the journalists who intend to cover refugee issues. I prefer young communication experts or journalists to focus on this issue because this issue will continue as long as humanity continues. From the history, refugee problem was always there. Some people came to some place and forced the people already settled there and make them refugees. And it continues to be like that. So this issue will always an issue on the agenda, not only for Turkey but everywhere. So they should be very aware of it. They should learn more. In every field, it is the case, but especially this refugee protection issue, it is the crucial thing to be successful journey.
That's excellent advices. How can cross-cultural collaboration improve the way we tell and understand migration stories?
Many people were forced to leave their country, cross the borders, international borders, to seek asylum in another country. So it's the international character. So different culture, people knowing different culture come forcibly, not voluntarily, to a new culture. So this is a positive element. Actually, if we go to cultural history, the culture develops when the different cultures come together and mix, and new sentences comes up. So asylum and migration issue, refugee issue, has always positive aspect. Now we are in the middle of a voluntary repatriation of 3 million refugees back to their countries. Yesterday, at the tree planting ceremony, I observed our young refugee boys and girls, children, and they were singing the national anthem in a better way from their deep of their hearts. They said this national anthem. So they assumed the Turkish culture, and they will take this cultural element back to their country. If they stay here, they will become a good citizen, potential good citizens in Turkey. So cultural mixture is the way for international peace and tolerant understanding.
The example you shared, refugee children singing the Turkish national anthem together during the tree planting event, is truly striking. And finally, before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add? Any final message for our listeners?
Refugee issue is an abnormality. Normally, people should have citizens of any country which protects their rights. I hope one day this issue will disappear from the agenda of international politics.
Thank you for joining us and for sharing such meaningful stories. Conversations like this help us see migration not just as a topic, but as a shared human journey. It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you.